This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome everybody. This morning we're going to be looking for the one half of Birmingham Pride, and then we'll be heading south in this beautiful African bush, and then please join us on board on your African Bush Safari Live. Welcome to Ngala. My name is Dai Koza and Paul behind me on the camera. So this morning we're going to be looking for lions, and I'm not alone. We've got Trish and Steve and Grant Prideland. So welcome on board on your African Live Safari Bush. This is going to be a beautiful morning. As you can see, the sun is just coming up, and we're going to be heading down this road. If you look ahead of us, this is a beautiful African bush. So let's hope these lions find something to eat last night. It will be really nice for us to watch them feeding, because last time we followed them last night, they were trying to hunt, but no success. Let's hope these lions have got something or join up with the rest of the pride, of which we haven't seen them together with the whole pride. So we're hoping to find them together feeding off something. Yeah, who knows? We can find something very interesting, because this is Africa, and then you never say no. Anything can happen. We may be looking for lions and then find a leopard down this road, because this is still cool enough for these predators to be hunting this time of the morning. Even though these animals are known as night hunters, they can still try in the day until late mornings, and then they'll find a spot to lie down for the night, for the day, I mean to say, and then wait for the sun to go down, and then they'll try again in the evenings. So yeah, let's hope something is gonna come up for us. Otherwise, we'll see if we can find anything. If we don't find anything here, best place, like these females like to leave the cubs in the riverbed. If we don't find anything down here, and then we're gonna check the riverbed in the next few minutes and see if they're not back with their young ones there. I haven't seen those cubs for quite some time. It will be really nice to see those cubs, because even the younger ones have joined the pride now. Let's hope they all there, because they have splitted all around the show. So yeah, that's the plan for the morning, and then hoping this is going to be a very successful morning. Yeah, like the other guys are also out here. Roxanne, that's what I'm hoping for, because it seems like these two Ross males, if you've been following us, and the two Ross males are starting to chase these young males, and then that includes that white young male. So they chased them away yesterday, from what I heard from the other guys. So I'm hoping to find him and see whether he's safe, because he's reaching maturity now, so it's about time they go somewhere. But I'm so happy that he's not alone. He's got a couple of other young males with him, so he will have company. So that's what we hoping to find this morning. So I'm hope and believe wherever they are, they're still safe. So that's what we're gonna try look for this morning. Let's hope this is going to be a very successful morning on those lions. And otherwise, a leopard will be very beautiful because I haven't seen a leopard for the last 2-3 days. It will be so nice to see a leopard walking down the road or sitting up in a tree. As you can see, there's some beautiful trees up ahead of us. Yeah, if you look, you can see this is very beautiful morning, and have a look at the weather. It's clear sky, and yeah, I'm just gonna carry on driving and just enjoy this beautiful African weather.
Good morning and welcome to Wild Earth. We're live at Eco Training Pridelands on Bushwalk. We're on our favourite little rocky outcrop, looking at the sun rising and also listening to hear if there's any sounds of animals that we would like to go and follow up. So quite often, just by putting yourself on a slightly elevated area, scanning the horizon and looking around and hearing, we also detect potential animals that we would like to see. There's a track of a lion that came through this area this morning, following a herd of buffalo, and that will most likely be our plan of action to see if we can locate on them. My name is JP LaRue, and behind the camera we've got Glenn. So we're just gonna, from here, as we mentioned, we're gonna start our little walk, see what we can find, and then from there move on to see if we can find the tracks of that lion as well as a group of buffalo that pass through here. In the meanwhile, we're going to offer you opportunity just to enjoy that sunrise over the low-veld region of South Africa. Good morning, Justin, and welcome to the show. Yes, this time of year does provide particularly beautiful sunrises and sunsets. We see there's often a lot of more dust as well as smoke particles in the air, as fire is an important part of both the savanna and the grassland ecosystem. It does provide that little bit of more of a pollution into the air, which creates an even redder sunrise. That's also to do with the angle that the sun strikes the atmosphere, which creates these incredibly beautiful sunrises and sunsets. Sunrises and sunsets, as I've already mentioned, they always remain one of my favorite things, and it's probably one of the things I photograph the most.
Good morning, everyone. What a beautiful shot of the moon there that Darby has got for us. Isn't it stunning? We're here at Treehouse Dam. It is very, very cold this morning. I've got a bit of the sniffles, but we're here at Treehouse Dam, so we're hoping that we'll come past the dam. There's nothing happening on that side, so we're going to go to the south and see what we can find there. Hi everyone, it's me, Trishana. I've got Darby on camera with me, and we're just going to see what the bush has to offer us, go on a bit of an adventure. At the moment, we've got a hippo here in the dam. I can hear the hardy-does. You might be able to hear them faintly. We heard lions roaring in the morning. You know, Steve is there, close to the dam where Darkmane is. So maybe the rest of the lions will show up too. But for the moment, at least on my side, there's not too much to follow up on. So we get driving and we can pick up on some focus morning. But otherwise, I'm just very happy to see the give up this morning. So we're going to get going. I'm actually thinking, I was thinking to go to Twin Dams, but I haven't driven Shabamu Road in a while. So maybe that is not a bad option. It's always nice to drive a road you haven't driven in a while, just in case there's some surprise there waiting for you. So off we go. Let's see what the bush feels like showing us this morning. Whatever it is, we'll get to watch it together.
Helping kids to fall in love with nature is critical. Our future depends on it. Wild Earth has had the opportunity to take many children from all over the world on safari, some from right here on our doorstep.
Welcome to those of you watching from Hananani Primary School, just outside Dixie Village.
They love learning about nature because, you know, now we're having like a crisis of like rhino poaching. We all need each other. So it is very, very important for the kids to learn about animals, on how to save them or even to protect them.
My favorite animal is an elephant because they are very cute, although they're eating the trees or the plants, but they are still very cute to me.
The way they explained the animals, asking questions, and we saw our names on the screen, it was so exciting.
Across Southern and East Africa, the Endangered Wildlife Trust works tirelessly to save species, protect critical habitats, and benefit people. Join the EWT in returning wildlife to the wild. Go to ewt.org.za to find out more and follow our socials to see how you can get involved. Protecting forever, together.
My name is Ross and I'm a field guide at and beyond Pinder Private Game Reserve. I love getting questions from guests on Wild Earth because I love sharing and learning information about nature with new people, and it also makes me feel like you're all joining me in real life. If you want to ask a question on Wild Earth, then you need to register on our website. Once registered, go to our live safari page and submit your question below our live feed.
We have a baby pangolin, a baby pangolin. This is off the charts. This animal is about from your fingertips to your elbow. That's the total length of this animal. This is unreal. This is unreal. This is unreal. This is like now my 4th Christmas in a week. We should do this more often.
Tune into Wild Earth every single day. It's in your nature.
Good morning, and welcome to the dawn, welcome to the sunrise here in Djuma Private Game Reserve, where it is a very cold morning. I'm debating the choice of the gloves. I bought that are not keeping my fingers warm at all. Hello, everybody. My name is Steve, joined by Chad on camera. And we are very excited to have you with us on board this morning. I hope you are as excited as we are on Cat today. Near the end of May. Only a few more drives left. But today, I feel like it's going to be very special. We found male leopard tracks going through our camp this morning. We've picked up on them again, coming from Mvubu back again. So we're just going to try to figure out where they might have gotten to. There were baboons going crazy for the longest time. And Darkman moved through, was calling for a long time, but he's now gone to sleep. So we thought we'd follow up on the baboon alarm calls that were very real and very in the moment. And that's going to be our day. See what happens. So please do send through questions and comments. Do love to hear from you. Is it cold where you are? I'm pretty sure if you're in Johannesburg, you're absolutely freezing right now. Let's do it. Let's go see where these tracks have gotten to. We're here scratching around Gallagher Pan. Tracks came straight through camp past my room, and then tracks come back again, and the baboons have been going crazy inside Vuitela camp. So it's not impossible for a leopard to be inside these camps. The camps are, no fence can keep a leopard out or in. But the baboons have calmed down. So it's a very tricky area to really pick up on activity without the likes of Herbie on the bushwalk. Fiona, I think it gets about 7 degrees Celsius. That's, I think, the coldest I've recorded. But, you know, there are incidences of frost here, but I've never encountered it. It feels like it might be frozen, but if you grow up in Johannesburg and then you come down here, it's not that cold here. We get used to the low veld temperatures. We get used to how warm it is here. For years, I've come from the low veld to Johannesburg visiting my friends where I grew up. And I'm always the first one to wear a jersey, a jacket. Cold, and they're wearing shorts and t-shirts and having a bright cold. So yes, we get acclimatized to these temperatures. But my fingers do really feel very cold inside. I think I need to get my gloves out because, well, they really do work. They match my... Well, Bushwalk team is out and about. Let's go say good morning to Jay.
Good morning and welcome back to Pridelands. We're still on bushwalk, enjoying the little sunrise and heating ourselves up as well. It's quite a little crisp morning this time over here. At the same time, we're also admiring the beautiful silhouettes of these 2 leadwood trees that's in front of us. So the name of this tree is derived from the fact that the wood is incredibly heavy. It weighs around by 1,200 kilograms per cubic square meter. In Afrikaans, we refer to them as a harlequin, so our Dutch speakers might also understand that. And that refers to the hard coal, as it makes an excellent firewood. However, these trees are these days protected, and we find that a large number of them was cut down in the previous century, specifically for making railway sleepers and for using for props inside mines. We often find old pieces of railway sleeper that's been abandoned on the sides of the railways, which is still made of these. And because the wood being so hard and so termite resistant, it virtually hasn't even decayed. I find it particularly fascinating that this wood was also used by Iron Age people in South Africa around by 800 to 1,200 years ago at specific sites such as Mapungubwe in the Limpopo province. And they still find that these hoes have not decayed, that they found that they're used as tools because of wood being so hard. We also find that the leadwood flowers are often used as a traditional use for making a cough mixture and medicine. Good morning, Ruben. Everything will eventually stop growing at some point, but just to give you an idea that these leadwoods can actually reach ages between 800 and 1,000 years, which is quite astounding if we think of how old they can get. And what I find particularly interesting is that when the tree actually dies, that it can still stay there for another 75 to 100 years before it eventually will decay. So most of these trees that I have seen over the years that has died, I've been guiding in some of the areas quite often, we'll repeatedly see them, and they become quite iconic landmarks for us. And we often find that if they are subjected to fire, that's the only thing that will actually convert them back into ash and nutrients and minerals so that they can be reabsorbed by plants again. But ash as well is often used by people in the past, where they would have mixed it with milk and then they would use it specifically to paint or whitewash old buildings. Another use for it is simply dipping your finger into the ash and then polishing your teeth. So that was one of the ways that dental care was practiced. Just got some doves coming down to come and drink right over here in front of us. We just want to see if we can maybe pan in on them. They might be silhouetted by the sun. I just always find doves incredibly fascinating when they drink. If you notice, they suck up water straight without having to tilt back their heads. And this allows them for a reduced period of exposure at water holes. This means a quick drink and get away as quickly as possible, because this is risky business to come and drink for any animal, because predators obviously make use of water holes to ambush a number of different prey species. That's right through from animals such as lion to birds of prey that will use that same strategy. So many of the other little seed eaters, they're exposed for a much longer time when they come to drink, and you'll normally see that they have to tilt their heads back every time that they have a little drink. With most of the animals, such as giraffe and an impala, they also become very cautious of when they approach a waterhole to make sure that nobody is waiting for them. We're going to hand you over to Dyke and see what he's offering on his little bumble.
Yeah, we're still on the search for these lions, and we've lost the tracks, but coming into the block to our right here, so we've just circled around and hoping that they come out on this road. So while we were driving around, we just saw some leopard tracks in the area, of which there might be a leopard as well in this area. As I said earlier, you never know. You may be looking for lions and get surprised by a leopard. So I'm hoping to find this leopard down this road. But our plan is to try and find these lions and see what they were up to last night. So we're going to loop around this block, and then if this tracks doesn't come out, they may have headed down into the riverbed, of which the riverbed will be to my left-hand side here. But we're just going to check this road and see if we can come across these lion tracks and see what they were up to. And hoping to find this leopard as well down this road. As you can see, checking down the road. Beautiful bushes here where these lions can lie down under one of these trees as soon as it starts warming up. As you can see, the sun's coming a little bit higher up in the sky. But this time it's still a bit cooler. They might be still moving. They haven't found anything to eat last night. They might be finding while it's still a bit cool, because as soon as it starts getting hot, they'll look for a shelter and lie down for the day. You never know, but these animals, sometimes they'll try hunt in the day. And yeah, let's hope to find these lions. While it's on the search, we're going to go over to Trish and see what Trish has found for us.
We have 2 elephants for the morning. That's a great way to start the morning in my books. At the moment, it's a youngster whose bottom is mostly visible. That you can hear Mum rustling through the bushes as they move into the block. And I'm sure that the rest of the herd has probably already moved through, because we've been sitting here and nobody else has come through from the direction that they did. So what we're going to do is, after we spend some time with them here, we'll swing around and see if we can locate the herd. This one has tiny little tusks poking through. So it's about 3 or 4 years old. Hi TJ, you'd like to know how the elephants know which trees are safe to feed on? That's a very interesting question. Elephants have a very, very well developed sense of smell. So they can pick up on what's called predigestive cues. So that's basically being able to smell before or in any way, but with elephants it's smell. For you or another animal, it could be touch. Maybe you touch something and it's really prickly, so you decide it's not going to be good for you to eat. Those are pre-ingestive cues. But elephants can get pre-ingestive cues or digestive cues from smell. So they can smell if a plant has any toxic compounds in its leaves. So usually a plant will harbor those compounds in the form of terpenes, tannins, things like that. And those can be quite volatile, which means that they very easily get released into the atmosphere. And when it's released into the atmosphere, you can smell it very well. And elephants have such an acute sense of smell that they can pick up on these. So they can smell a plant and say, oh, no, that one's got far too many tannins. And then make a decision on whether they want to eat them based on that. Now that must be a very, very, very and 2.
Good morning and welcome back to Bushwalk. We mentioned earlier this morning that we found tracks of lions. However, we couldn't show you the track at that moment because of the light really being poor. So light is always a very important aspect when we are looking at tracks, and you want to always put the track between yourself and the light. The next step is always to get the direction of the track right. And if we have a look over here, the direction is moving slightly into an easterly direction, and this is a track of an incredibly big male lion. It's a set of one of 2 sets that we have found here this morning, And if we look over here, this is a main pad, and then the 3 classic lobes, which makes it a cat, and then incredibly large round toes compared to the females that has got oval toes. And this is much bigger than hyena, and they also lack the nails that hyenas will have. And what these guys have been doing is they've been coming in over here, and they've been following this group of buffalo that's been moving through here. And here we can see the buffalo track over here, very rounded track. You can see split into the half, as is typical of an even-toed ungulate. And here we also have the dung of the buffalo that came through here last night. It's a big herd. We've seen them a few days ago. There are approximately 70 individuals within this group. And these 2 big male lions are definitely going to try their luck following these guys around. And hopefully we can see some action in the next few days between the buffalo and the lion. As mentioned on one of the previous shows, quite often what will happen is that these lions are looking for weaknesses in the group. They're looking for the sick, the old, and the injured individuals, and those are their targets, because as a predator, you also don't want to really risk injuring yourself and preventing that you can successfully hunt in the future. However, we do find that lions do often come on the short end when it does come to encounters with buffalo. I've also seen them coming short with giraffe, where giraffe a few years ago kicked a young male lion and killed him in the process. We're going to continue. We're going to take a little bit of a walk and go and see what we can go and find. As we walk off, see what we can find in this area, see if we can catch up with these lions and the buffalo. We're going to hand you over to Trish in the meanwhile and see what she has on offer.
Well, I'm hoping to catch up with these Ellies. Looks like we're going to have to go onto Shubamu Road. They've just moved further into the block. We've just come from Shubamu. But it is a good thing that they're moving in that easterly direction from here, because they could end up at Treehouse Dam and have a bit of a drink for us. Might be a little bit chilly to swim right now. Where will you come out, guys? Oh, Jessica, that is a good question. You'd like to know if elephants ever vomit? They do regurgitate. I've actually found one of those before. So there's a few animals that actually have the inability to vomit, like horses, for example, because of the shape of their digestive tract. But elephants they can vomit. I can't say I've ever seen it, actually, from their stomach throwing up. But I have seen them regurgitate this ball. And then I did go and find it and open it up, because at the time it was a time when there was a chameleon in a tree that I was quite attached to, and I found these elephants eating the tree. So what elephants will do is that if it detects something that's not normal, then part of their normal diet in their mouths, they can kind of, do that and throw up this little salivary hard ball with a whole lot of plant material in it. So I opened it up to just check maybe there was a reason that the elephant had thrown this thing up, and it didn't seem to have any bones, anything like that. But perhaps it was just not having a good day. But it certainly can happen. Now, where exactly that ball comes from, I don't think from the stomach. I think it might actually be in the mouth and then spat up, but there was just... Actually, yeah, I don't know exactly where it comes from. Perhaps it's almost on its way down and then it comes back up. But if they do find that something is not right, they can spit it up. Just stopping to listen there. Hi, Sandalinda. You'd like to know if animals have taste buds? Yes, they do. Different animals can detect different types of taste, but it's very important that animals do have taste buds, and that's because there are certain tastes that are important to animals. For example, animals that eat fruit, they need to be able to taste if something is ripe, which would correspond to a taste bud that's picking up sweetness. So that's important, but the most important thing is for an animal to be able to pick up bitterness, because bitterness is mostly associated with something that is off. So cats can pick up sour and bitterness, so that they're able to tell before they actually swallow whatever they've eaten. They're able to tell that it's not okay and it's going to make them sick, or it's fine to digest. So having taste buds is not something that's for pleasure. For us, it's developed into quite a complex part of our whole relationship with food, and that's because we also have a social relationship with food, and the more and the better our taste buds developed, the more enjoyable having meals became. We have meals with our families and other humans, and it cultivated good social relationships. But initially, the whole point of having a taste bud is so that you can detect if the food is going to sit well in your stomach, it's going to make you sick, or is it going to kill you? Remember, poison, though things that are toxic, will also have a bitterness to it. So it's an important thing for survival to be able to detect that. But remember that all these things occur in a spectrum. So if I say that cats can detect sourness or bitterness but can't really detect sweetness, it's not in the same way that you can detect it, because all these things occur on a spectrum. Now these guys are facing Treehouse Dam way, which is great. Hi, Erin. You'd like to know if I think that elephants can suffer from tusk ache like toothache. Most certainly, because it is a tooth. As well, you must know this because you've asked the question. I really think that they can. In fact, I've seen something that indicates to me that they certainly do. I remember seeing this big elephant bull, and he was not happy. He looked so uncomfortable. And he kept putting his right tusk against a termite mound, but not the outer part of the tusk, like he'd almost try and bite the termite mound, where the tusk would be in his mouth, where the root of the tusk would be in his mouth. And that makes sense because the termite mound, the vents produce that slightly warmer air. And a lot of animals, when they're feeling soreness, so not sick, but they're feeling some sort of pain or discomfort, they'll go into termite mounds where there's warmth, or they'll go into water where they can soothe those injuries. And to me, it looked very much like he was trying to soothe something at the base of his tusk. But apart from that, the anatomy of the tusk tells me that it should be able to happen. That's because it's structured like a tooth. It is a modified tooth, modified incisors. So if they get an infection in the pulp or in the cavity there, it can be very, very painful. I bet just saying that makes me want to on my teeth. Hearing an alarm call off to my east, these elephants will take a bit of time to get to Treehouse Dams. How about we reverse and go around, see if we can pick up on what that is. Hi, Nicanova. You'd like to know what happens if a milk-dependent calf loses its mom. It is likely to die. It's likely to starve, especially if it hasn't started eating a lot of foliage yet. That's going to bring up an important point. You got it? Okay. Look at this little one. Nicanova, why I'm saying this brings up an important point. So let's for a moment think about giraffes versus elephant. Not in a fight, I mean their biology. I've been getting a lot of these who would win between so-and-so questions. Their biology, right? It seems that elephants, though they're both so large, one seems to be especially long-lived and have fewer offspring, like an elephant. And one of the reasons is that a giraffe calf is weaned by 6 months to a year and then very quickly will leave their mum. Elephant calf, it takes them 3 to 5 years to be weaned. And then they, obviously if they're not weaned, if their mum dies in that time and they're dependent on milk, okay, if they're still being weaned between 3 and 5, I feel they're more likely to survive within the herd because they would have had a lot of experience already eating vegetation. But say their mum dies at 2 years or a year, so much of their diet is just from the mum's milk that they're very unlikely to survive. Oh, look at these three. Small, medium, and large. I think we can move a little bit now. Yes, it is safe. I think what I heard might have actually come from these guys because I can't hear that alarm call anymore. But we'll sit and listen. So, common question in biology when I was just talking to you, that's why I brought up the giraffe versus elephant thing, is giraffes don't hardly live for as long as elephants do. Elephants live into their 50s, maybe 60s if they're lucky, out in the wild. African elephants, at least Asian elephants, seem to live for longer. But giraffes, not that long. But they're both such large animals. Oh. Oh, oh, oh. Oh no. What has happened? Oh no, don't blame me for that. I bet if it'd be covering its face with its ears, it's as if it knew that it was live. Anyway, we'll discuss the biology a little in a bit. But now I'm just going to move to that side, just in case there was anything fruitful from those alarm calls.
Do you dream of an African holiday in unparalleled luxury? Where your days are spent in the company of wildlife and cooling off in your very own plunge pool? Well, this month's prize may be the one for you. Expertly camouflaged into the unspoiled environment of the world-famed Sabi Sand Game Reserve, it's hard not to fall in love with Simbambili. Sign up to be a Wild Earth Explorer before the end of May, and you and a friend could be jetting off to this ultimate escape from reality. A luxurious safari and spa getaway wrapped up in one impressive package. Wild Earth Explorers, it's in your nature.
Our bodies are made up of about 60% water, which means that in a very short space of time, you can dehydrate completely. A relatively efficient way of collecting water early in the morning is to take an absorbent material like a sock and to walk through the grass, absorbing the condensed dewdrops on the grass. Once the material is saturated, you can then squeeze it out into a container, or you can suck it out directly into your mouth.
I love being a cam op for Wild Earth. The animals coming right up close to you, especially like lions. Sometimes you get nervous, but you have to go with the flow. My favorite animal to film is the elephant because of how big it is. But when it's really up close to you, it's one animal that you would say, I really respect you.
Guys, have a look at what we've got. This is better than my birthday. Look at that. This is the first time that I ever see cubs this small. This is so special. This has officially just become my best sighting of all times.
Tune into Wild Earth every single day. It's in your nature.
Welcome back, everyone. Well, we told you there was probably a leopard in camp, and indeed, there is a leopard in camp. It's made an impala kill inside Vuytela camp. So, management is assessing the situation, trying to figure out what to do and how to deal with it. Obviously, predators in camp with carcasses is obviously exciting, but at the same time a little bit dangerous. So we're leaving that with them, and we are picking up on the female leopard tracks that were moving in a similar sort of direction. By the way that they're moving, the direction they're moving, I've got a feeling that they belong to Miss Tlalamba. So we're just going to head along this road here. Hopefully no one drives on the road, because those tracks were fresh. Beautiful end of a full moon. Beautiful dawn. Someone's coming along the road. We missed the full moon. We've had some wonderful blood moon. Not last night, but 2 nights in a row. He wanted to chat to me about something. I'm not quite sure what, but we're going to continue on. Victoria, it happens all the time. They walk through past our rooms. Shall we move on, Gert? Let's go see if we can find any of these tracks. I mean, this morning we had those male leopard tracks coming straight past our garage. So, past the garage where our cars are, my room is over here. Then the tracks have ended up right next to the fence, or the leopard has anyway. And Lex reckons it's Tingana with a male impala. And has killed it right next to sort of the low-profile fence in camp. And yeah, so they're going to figure out what to do with that and take it from there. Obviously, it's a management decision. Carcasses can be moved, and leopards will follow them and move away, but it has to be done in a certain way, and obviously is a potentially dangerous situation. So many times leopards have come through. I've had Tlalamba on my stoep before. I heard a noise. I opened my curtain. There was Tlalamba standing off to a hyena. She was on my porch. Sorry, stoep is the South African word for porch. And we've had Osana in camp right there. We've had Tingana right next to my room as well. Shadulu walks through regularly. Tlalamba. Okay. So, let's just have a little scratch here. Very slowly. She might not have come out. She might also be in camp with the kill of her. Maybe she made the kill. We know how these things work, everybody. Tingana likes to be close to the scene of the crime. Lots of hyena tracks so far, but no leopard tracks. Heidi, I've only seen videos of that. They do it. I don't think it happens all the time. The prey animals are normally quite aware that the leopard is there through the smell. Unless the leopard has been there for a long time, the prey animals are normally quite aware that they're there, and they will just shout at the tree. But it does happen. But what leopards do more commonly do is they will spend time in a tree and then get sight of a prey animal far away and then climb down and go stalk. Okay, so plenty of hyenas have been through here. Lots of activity around Vuetela camp last night. Water, everybody. Going to start seeing more and more and more action. Deborah, there are a few. The camps have got a protective sort of low-profile fence which keeps the elephants out. So the camps, many of them have got very well-established trees. I think Osana actually had a kill once in camp, which they allowed to happen because it was, the camp isn't just like buildings everywhere. There's lots of trees and bushes inside the camp, but this kill is right next to the staff gate quarters that people walk from the campsite from the staff quarters into the camp. So there's a big problem. It's not an ideal situation. If it was in the bushes, away from the buildings and away from the pathway that the staff have to walk to and from, then it would probably be acceptable. But like I say, it's a decision for management, and we will respect whatever decision they make. Okay, so no leopard track has come out here that I can see. We're going to have a look up this road. They were coming straight down towards sort of Yuri's house over there. And well, we were here to start the show, but we had some internet issues. So let's say good morning to him, shall we? Been calling all night long. Now he's gone flat. Like I said, lots of activity around Vuetela Dam last night. 2 leopards, a male lion, hyena, but he's called a few times, but now he's gone very, very flat. It's a hard life being a male lion, everybody. A really hard life. You think you could cut it, Gert, as a male lion? Easily. A Canova, not that I know of, not here. A low-profile fence normally keeps most animals out, but you can't keep lions and leopards out. Corky actually last year ran from the dam, and Blondie chased her and went straight over the low-profile fence into the camp, which was potentially dangerous. But I think the low-profile fence is a good thing. It keeps, many camps have got the 2-strand elephant fence. It keeps elephants out, but doesn't keep buffalo out. So the low profile keeps buffalo out and hippo, which are always those animals that you don't really want to be walking around at night between your lodge bar and your room, bumping buffalo, elephant, or hippo. So we are out in the middle of nature. Where we stay, we've got just the elephant fence around camp, so there's the potential for anything to be in our little space. That's why it's important and vitally important to never run from our sort of dining hall area to our room. It might sound quite silly. It's not a very far distance, but never ever run. And always to use a torch. So thankfully there's not been any incident reported since that I've heard of or know of. But as the season starts to get drier and drier and drier and the water becomes less and less available, we find our lodge surrounded, or our camp surrounded by a couple of watering holes. And well, what's to stop these predators from hanging around, these dangerous animals from moving from one water source to another, straight through the middle, nothing at all. And so situational awareness in the bush, everybody, is a very, very real thing. Situational awareness in life, in general, is a very important thing. Okay, well, we're going to move on from our mail. We're going to see if we can find these tracks. Let's send you back over to Pridelands.
Good morning and welcome back to Bushwalk. I was watching a yellow-billed hornbill that's sitting up here on the top of a tree. Temperatures are still quite cool, and this guy is making use of the sun to just increase his body temperature that little bit more. If it was me, I would have been sitting there with a cup of coffee and enjoying that little bit of sunshine to heat myself up. Well, let's see what he gets up to. It's one of the more typical species of hornbills that we have in the area. Quite often they perform a big part of our show, as most people love them. I love hornbills. They've got their own little unique little characters, quirky little big looking birds. This one you can identify by the large yellow bill. It's another species that we have here that's quite common. It's known as a southern red-billed hornbill, which has got an all red bill. And then the African grey hornbill, that's got grey coloration as well as white coloration to the bill. However, the female has got a little red tip to the bill, which you can identify by, she wears a little bit of a lipstick. Those are the most common of the hornbill species. As mentioned in previous shows, that they mostly eat fruit as well as insects. However, they can also feed on rodents. One of the things that I find particularly interesting is that they've come to a point where there's a trade-off between them and dwarf mongoose, where they won't predate on the young of dwarf mongoose, which is equal in size to that of some of the rodents that they will feed on if they can find them. But what they do is they alert the dwarf mongoose of potential threats, but they also use the dwarf mongoose to disturb insects for them. And quite often when these little hornbills get quite cheeky in the morning and they're hungry, they decide it's time to go and wake those hornbills up. And what they'll do is they'll fly down and they will come and call right at the entrance or the tunnel entrance where those mongoose are hiding until they come out. So it's like having a little bit of an alarm call. Very similar to a teenager that doesn't want to get out of the bed. Parents coming to shout to him to get out to start his day. I do like the hornbills. They often come and visit my house as well. For some reason they're fascinated by my windows and they do see their reflections in it. Good morning, Obeard. Yes, they are very unique, especially with an incredibly long bill that's designed to pass food through a very narrow nest entrance. But I also just find them fascinating that they're such generalists and that they just always there. They tame fairly easily as well. That's the other thing that I like about them. It becomes sometimes a little bit of a nuisance around the lunch table. One of them in camp as well, he decides to quite often come and hop on the table, and he's developed a fascination for bacon and pork sausages.
Yeah, we just got here now, so we parked and switched off the vehicle because one of the rangers in the reserve said they had a male lion calling or roaring somewhere in this area, so we're just hoping to hear this animal sound again. That will be really nice to find him and watch him roar, because this is something that you don't get to see. You will normally hear these animals roaring from far away, but excuse me, not to watch them doing it while you're there. So we're just hoping in this beautiful light it will be really nice to watch him roar. So let's hope this lion is somewhere in this area or might be coming down this road. That will be really, really nice to watch him walking down the road and roar, trying to find the other members of his pride, which could be in the area. Those will be the lions that we're trying to look for. But we haven't had anything, so we're just sitting here and hoping for some luck and hope this animal have not decided yet to lie down. But even if he's lying down, if he roars, the chances are we might find him, because this is what the guys said. They had him calling. Yes, so they just say they've got tracks further down this road, seems to be heading in our direction. Wow, that's a good question, Havis. Lions can roar, and then we'll hear that maybe plus minus 7 kilometers, but another lion can pick that up about 12 kilometers away. So that's how far the lion sound can carry. So these animals have very good sense of smell, hearing. You will be sitting with a pride of lions here and watching them, and all of a sudden you see them get up at the same time, like a radar. They had another lion calling far away that you can't even hear. So these animals have good senses, and then the sound can carry them, especially this time of the morning. It's still cool enough, and the sound can carry a long, long, long way. So we're just waiting and hoping. But for us, we're not too far from where they said they had that lion calling. Yeah, we're just gonna sit here and hope to hear this lion roar again. While we're sitting here, we're gonna go over to Pride Land.
You have him, Glenn? Good morning and welcome back to Bushwalk. At the moment we're watching a bird that's known as a common scimitar bull. And they get their name scimitar bull from the slightly decurved bull. Very thin, narrow bull, and that bull gets used for probing underneath the bark while they're looking for insects. So he's on his own, and quite often this guy gets confused for another common bird in this area, which is known as a green hudupu. But the green hudupus are always in groups, and those groups are sometimes between some 6 and more individuals. These guys are generally maybe on their own or in groups of 2 to 3 maximum. They're much smaller, and they've got an all-black bull, all black legs, compared to the green hudupu, which has got red legs and a red bull, and tends to be incredibly noisy birds, hence their nickname chattering old ladies in the African language. So coming back to the common scimitar bull, his call is very different. It sounds, if he says sweep, sweep, it sounds like something like this. That's his call, making it quite easy to separate them on call. I just find it fascinating that the tip of their bull has got a very unique tactile sensory organ, which is known as a herpes operculus, which can detect edible and non-edible particles when they probe underneath the bark, and then they can make a decision. Am I going to extract this from underneath the bark or not extract this from underneath the bark? Another feature that I quite often find fascinating about hudupus, as well as the hupu and scimitar bulls, is that they all have a relationship with a bacteria that lives in the preen gland, which creates quite an obnoxious smelling chemical, and that is used quite often for defensive purposes by these birds. They also eject that same chemical onto their young to make them stink and unpalatable so that predators can leave them alone. Another bird that just flown in, it's called a brew. We can hear him, it sounds like a telephone. Good morning, Darcy, and welcome to the show. I'm glad that we can offer you something new. So another little bird for you on your tick list. So quite often, a lot of the birders that I know, we're quite obsessive about listing, and we're always adding birds to our lists and keeping records of them. Some of us are slightly a little bit more obsessive than others. And then we've also got a fork-tailed drongo that's just come into the picture as well. It's an all black bird with a deep forked tail, and then if you do the light at the right angles, you'll actually notice that he's got a red eye, which is a characteristic of all drongo species. I love a drongo. He's quite an eccentric little character. There's a number of reasons why I quite enjoy them. Firstly is that they are no-nonsense birds, and they don't even take nonsense of eagles. I've often seen them mobbing big eagles, such as martial eagles, just flying straight up to them and going straight for the head or the underbelly and pecking away at them. And then the second reason is that they also have learned to use anything from the size of a dwarf mongoose up to an elephant to disturb insects for them, and then they will manage to find themselves meals like that from those insects that are disturbed. But even more fascinating is that relationship that I've seen with the drongos and the Kalahari, where they actually will imitate meerkats, and they will wait for them to catch something, then create the alarm call, and then grab the food as that the meerkat drops the food running back to its burrow. But they've also learned that they can't too often cry wolf, so they have to maintain a balance between crying wolf and also alerting the animals of potential threats. So every now and then they'll just sneak this tactic in and then make sure that they get a nice scrumptious little meal. I was going to see if I can call a few more birds in. And in the meanwhile, we're going to hand you over to Trish and see what she has on offer in her bumble.
Been looking around if there was something. Went all the way down to Twin Dams.
Yeah, we just decided we're gonna leave the spot where we have stopped and carry on down this road because it sounds like this animal is calling while it's on the move. According to what the other guy that had the line calling earlier, it sounds like the tracks are moving away from this area. So we're just gonna take another road and try cut him off the front and hoping to find him while he's still a bit active, because it's getting a bit warm now. So these animals, as soon as it starts getting warm, they might look for a place to lie down. So let's hope we'll find him while he's still on the move. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna drive down this road and hope to find this lion while he's still moving, because it sounds like someone has picked up tracks of the rest of the pride further south from here. This might be where he's heading, try to catch up with the rest of the pride. Let's hope this lion is still on the move. It doesn't take a decision to lie down because the sun is warming up, and then hope to find him. Maybe roar once for us. It will be very nice even for me to watch him do that, because normally you'll say lions roaring from far away as the other guy had, but you don't watch them do it while you're there. So I'm hoping to pick up this lion on the move. You never know, like people say, male lions don't hunt, this guy can still try to hunt as well as looking for the rest of the pride, because these animals, when they're by themselves, they need to eat. They do hunt, not as much as the females. I personally think because of the mane, these animals know they can easily be exposed, so when they're with the females, they'll hang back, let the females do the rest. But bringing something big down, like a giraffe or buffalo, they know it needs more strength. That's when they move in and help. But this morning, I think he just maybe roaring for territory or trying to make a contact with the rest of the pride. So let's hope this animal is still on the move and come across him down the road while he's still moving. Yeah, that's the plan for now. Unfortunately, we were hoping and getting excited that he was too close to where we stopped, but unfortunately the tracks seems like they're leaving that area and going further away towards my right hand side, which is the southeast direction. So that's where the lion is heading. That's why I'm driving this road, hoping to cut him off the front and see if we can find him on the other side. But someone just said now they got some baboons alarm calling in the riverbed. If they're not watching this lion, they might be watching something else, because someone is following up on leopard in that direction. So there is a lot that's been happening during the night. There's lots of tracks, leopard tracks going up and down. 3 sets of leopard tracks been found, and then on this side we're trying to find this lion. So that shows how much activity that happens during the night while we're sleeping. So things happen in the night, like kills and animals hunt. We just don't see it because we're sleeping. So you hope you will be there just after it happened, but it's also nice to see and watch that happen. Let's carry on down this road and hope to find this lion. And maybe if they hear him
fascinating and charismatic, these scaly-skinned mammals are one of the world's most elusive creatures. Here are some unique facts about pangolins. Pangolins have long, sticky tongues that can grow up to 1/3 of their body length. This is to help scoop up their prey. Pangolins walk on their knuckles so they can protect their claws. A baby pangolin is called a pango pup, and it rides on its mother's back for the first year of its life. A pangolin is the most heavily trafficked wild mammal in the world and is seriously threatened by extinction. Join 4 leading conservation specialists live on Saturday, June 5th as they discuss this unique animal and the threats it is faced with.
Take 27. I'm Carol from Chicago, USA. This is me 5 years ago. No music, no editing, real time. I was hooked. Thank you so much for that, Wild Earth.
I had lost my job, and I also lost one of my pets. So Wild Earth has seen me through very hard times, and I just want to thank all of you for being there for me when I needed you most.
We love you. We start and end our day with you, teaching our grandkids all about nature through you, your wonderful educational safaris.
We really do appreciate being on safari with you, especially when it's cold and wintry in Canada.
And considering we've been in lockdown for 18 months here in Saudi and I've not been able to fly back to South Africa, I want to thank you for bringing your safari back into my life every single day and night. I love it, love it, love it.
My name is Lauren, and I'm currently working in Djuma Private Game Reserve here in South Africa. I love answering your questions during the live safaris. It's my favorite part. It feels like you're on the vehicle with me, and I'm able to teach you exactly what you want to know. If you want to ask a question on Wild Earth, then you need to register on our website. Once registered, you must go to the live safari page and ask your question below the live feeds.
How very fortunate of us. We've made it back here just in time to see the herd coming down to have a drink at Treehouse Dam. Oh, love it. I'm gonna be a little quiet. Please do send through your questions and your comments though. I just want you to listen to all the lovely sounds of the water. Look at the reflection, the light bouncing off the elephants in the water. Just enjoy. Oh yes, have to agree, Darcy. Darcy says what a beautiful scene with these elephants. Most certainly. It's such a calming, relaxing, thought-clearing experience to sit with elephants. Look at that one with its trunk resting on its mate. Oh, James Richard, you say it's the epitome of tranquility. Absolutely. They really are. It's such a difficult thing to actually put your finger on. What is this feeling? Guess it's just seeing another creature just enjoying itself. There's no fear. We're in a safe space. We're on the other side of the dam. They're not focused on us. They want to just have some water and do what they like best, which is to be around water. And we get to be here to see it. It really is the epitome of tranquility. until there's a fight. I heard some elephants behind us as well. Not very close, but maybe they'll also make their way to this dam. I love how they all have these water boots now. As if especially the one on the right, as if it's got like knee-high boots on. It's in the distance behind these two now. Hi Simone, you'd like to know if there's any herds that live in Djuma? No. The home ranges of elephants are so massive, hundreds of kilometers, even 1,000 kilometers. They don't have territories, so they don't have a single spot that's small, like Djuma is, to exclusively call home. They just move through various areas. Look at these two. Remember, Djuma is only 12 kilometers squared, and from, say, the middle of the reserve, the middle of Djuma to the cut lines, so or to the main road, so like the middle to Gari Main or the middle to Buffelshoek cut line is just about 3 kilometers. That's less than an elephant will travel in a day. Come on, you two. Let's see what you've got. They look like they're waiting for the go signal from us. Oh, what beautiful sounds. The sounds of those tusks knocking against each other. Oh. Definitely elephants moving closer to us. You can hear them. This happens a lot between males. They're not being aggressive towards each other. That's just play. They've arrived here together. This hippo can sense they're not very relaxed, and he's busy displaying to them. And he says, please, please, don't put me on TV, though. We're going to stick around here because I did hear some other elephants coming along. We're going to send you over to JP on bushwalk. Oh, great timing, you guys. He's, on bushwalk, so I hope that he'll also want to find some elephants as the day progresses.
He was inside the fence.
Good morning and welcome back to Bushwalk. We're just busy admiring a dead leadwood tree, and I can't help to wonder how many years ago this tree has already died off. As we mentioned earlier on the program, that they can sometimes stand for up to 75 to 100 years after that they've actually died, and that the trees can also live for between 800 and 1,000 years. So these trees could have told stories. They probably would have been able to tell us many a story. I'm just fascinated about all the patterns and the cracks and little fissures and knots inside here. But we can also see that the tree is incredibly well polished. And this is because of elephant that has come past here after they have actually gone for a mud bath and then came and rubbed themselves. Here you can see some of the soil that has been deposited on that area. So for those viewers that are joining us for the first time but are not familiar with what wallowing is actually just going to a muddy area, get yourself full of mud, cool yourself down, as well as wait till that mud dries to get rid of the parasites that's inside of your coat. And quite often directly after that, you'll go to a tree and go and rub yourself against that tree to assist with getting rid of the itch, as well as getting rid of some of the dry mud on your coat. There's a number of animals that are actually responsible for creating these little smears on the side of a tree when they use them as rubbing posts. So fairly low down, if we come to this point over here, which is pretty much equivalent to my knee height, that will be warthog if it has been deposited up here. And then as it becomes slightly higher, our next culprit somewhere over here is going to be buffalo, and around by up to 1.7 meters, which is a little bit shorter than what I am. We'll expect it to be rhinos, and above that point, it will always be elephant that's responsible for leaving these unique little field signs. But once again, you can just see how this has been so neatly polished and has created such a unique and perfect impression on the side of a tree. As trees are also quite often cut down, the dead stumps, and they're quite often used for making furniture. However, you do need a permit for actually removing that, and it makes an incredibly good quality furniture, but it's quite difficult to work. And as you can see, the wood is hard. It's been standing for many years out here, and to work with implements often blunts and breaks implements on the wood. However, the end product is always incredibly beautiful. We're going to continue on our walk, and we're going to meanwhile hand you over to Dyke that's still looking for lion. Hopefully he'll find them very soon.
Yeah, no luck as yet finding this lions, and haven't heard anything of him roaring. As you can see in front of us here, we've got this bachelor head of impalas, which seems to be very relaxed. If the lion was somewhere in this area, they wouldn't be this relaxed. So this impala seems to be like nothing is worrying them, because this is what you look for sometimes when you're looking for these predators. If the lion was here, the impalas will be more alert and then sort of giving warning calls. As you can see, the guys are not even concerned about anything else except for grazing peacefully in this beautiful light. Unless the lion has just decided to lie down under one of these guarri bushes, these beautiful green trees that you can see around here. yeah, but the hopes are still there. We haven't lost our hope. We're just going to leave here and try another area. Unless this animal is trying to pick up or catch up with the rest of the pride, he might be still walking through this block. So we're hoping at some stage he's going to end up coming out on one of these roads. Yeah, this is just May, and then next month or just the first 2 weeks of July, the rutting season will be finished, and then these impalas, these males that you can see here, they'll slowly go back and rejoin with the rest of the heads, and they'll fight again the next season, because as you can see there, what we're looking at now is all the males. These are the ones that have been defeated by the stronger males. So this is the guy that have all the females. So if you happen to see a herd of impalas, for now, it will only be one male with all the females, which possibly the young ones that are going to be born in that one particular head can be from the same father, because, yeah, this is the rutting season, as you said. So November, December, that's when we're going to start seeing them dropping their lambs. So it will be very exciting and interesting to see all the young impalas running around, more and more food for the predators. Yeah, so in first 2 weeks of July or just end of June, then the rutting season will be over. Yeah, we're just going to carry on and see if we can have any luck with this lion before it starts getting too hot, before the animal lie down, unless he's still walking through this block here. Yeah, let's hope for some luck that we come across him on one of the roads just coming out of this block. It will be very exciting just to get onto the road exactly at the time when he comes out of this block. If he doesn't show up, yes, these male lions can keep maybe 3-4 different prides, but they'll move from pride to pride, Morgan. But the females will never mix, they'll stay separate. But the males can rule more than one pride of lions, yes. All right, we're just gonna try once more and loop around, see if we can check 1 or 2 more roads, see if we can pick up this male lion that was head roaring in this area. And then if we don't have any luck, so we know where to look this afternoon. So we're just going to carry on and try some luck. Yeah, if these impalas have seen him, they wouldn't be here. Otherwise, if they were here, they were just going to be giving alarm calls, and then we'll know this lion is somewhere here. Unless he's still on his way, coming in this direction, but no sign of him being here yet. So we're just going to carry on trying and see if we can find him. But this is the area to look for him this afternoon if he doesn't come out. So let's hope this afternoon we're gonna have some luck if we don't have luck this morning finding him. Because we thought this is where he was gonna come out, but no sign of him as yet. Yeah. Never know about these wild animals. he can be just lying somewhere watching us driving past. As you can see, this beautiful dense vegetation and lots of shades where he can lie if he decides to lie down. So you never know. But I think he's let's hope he's still somewhere. And while we're still looking, gonna go over to JP and see what JP's found for us.
Good morning and welcome back to Bushwalk. We're doing pretty well with birds this morning, and we've just found a magpie shrike, also known as a long-tailed shrike. As you can see, it's got an incredibly long tail, and as we mentioned in one of the previous editions, that magpie or pied refers to generally something that has black or white in coloration. He flies off, and we'll see if we can follow him. That's quite interesting to see him on his own. Generally, this is one of a social species of shrikes, and they always tend to be in groups. Let's see if we can maybe get another view of him, but it seems as if he's now moved off quite far. One of the things that we do often notice with shrikes is that their bills are designed in a very similar way than that of a small bird of prey has, where there's a notch inside the beak that's designed for severing the spinal cord of small mammal and bird prey that they will go for. And we often find with many of the shrike species is that they've got a unique behavior where they will actually take the prey and then impale it onto the branches. It's not for all shrike species, but most of them do that. And the reason why they do that is to display a territory, also to attract a potential mate, but it shows to the female that this male can take care of me by doing so. And then the third reason why they do that is to create a little mini food larder by pulling off the head of a prey item. Flies will come in and then lay their eggs inside there. And once they've done that, there's a supply of food that's generated by that from the maggots that will hatch and which they will then feed on. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to find him again as he's moved off quite far. We're going to continue and see what we can go and find.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome to Djuma. Welcome to some movement in the bushes where they've managed to pull the impala carcass away from camp a few hundred meters, and Tingana is now feeding on it. So it's very much ensconced. Let me move forward here, Gert. You might get a view of him. Now, everybody, just bear in mind that this is a dead animal, and this is a male leopard eating. So it could be a little bit graphic if that's not your kind of thing, but all is good in the hood. Tingala's relaxed, he's feeding again. They've managed to get the kill away from camp so staff can go about their business. But the visual is not very good, so we're going to spend a few moments here and then we're going to make space for another vehicle who's come to have a look as well. He's opened the stomach. I wonder if he's going to try and hoist it. Closest tree is about 50 meters. He'll probably spend the day on the ground here eating before deciding whether to move it. Hyenas will definitely pick up on the smell. Annette, how cool is that, eh? Duke of Djuma, another meal in the same week. Oh, awesome. I'm pretty certain he's the one who killed that civet. The civet was very close to where he killed the duiker. He's been known to eat civet. Tristan had him on a really repulsive civet once. We once had scats that I saw him poo out that had civet feet in it. This is a much tastier meal for a leopard. Nice big impala male. Sandy, he's probably 500-600 meters. 500 or 600 meters. I'm going to have to try to figure that out. It's not very far. The dark mane won't know that this is happening here for some time. Till it starts to smell. We can smell it now, but we're right here. There's not too much wind this morning. Beautifully ensconced in this weeping wattle. Birds are still not happy. Okay, well, as I said, the view's not very good, and there's another vehicle here who wants to watch as well. So we're going to have to move shortly, another 2 minutes or so, and then we're going to have to make space. If he hoists it into a tree, it'll be much better to view for few vehicles. But right now, as you can see, we've only got one tiny little window here. And he's crunching. But an impala kill of this size, it looked like a male. When we saw it, it'd be decent sized male. Will last him a few days if he doesn't lose it to hyena. And he is strong enough to hoist it. He just has to find the right tree to do so. You wouldn't know he was here if you were walking. You would not see him. Probably pick up on the smell first, or the crunching of the bones.
On board we have a very special guest joining our live safari today. We have Sue Fogel, who has bought a ticket to Dream.
It was an easy decision to purchase a ticket to Dream because I've been working with animals for my whole life, and I think what Wild Earth does here, bringing live safaris into your home, is just remarkable.
If you want to go on safari with a Wild Earth guide, whilst honing your bush knowledge and of course featuring in one of our shows, then head over to our website.
Well, since I've been watching for such a long time, I thought it would be a good idea for me to come here in person.
Sign up to be a Wild Earth explorer, and you could be making your first ever on-screen appearance.
If you have a chance to do it, I highly recommend it. To feel the sun on your face and the wind in your hair, and to smell the smells, and just kind of be in the animal's presence. It's undescribable. I highly recommend it.
For many years, Wild Earth has taken viewers from around the world to the Mara Triangle, a place of majestic beauty and abundant wildlife. But it wasn't always like this. Before 2001, it was infested with poachers. illegal harvesting and hunting was rife. Now the situation couldn't be more different. The hard work and dedication of the Mara Conservancy has revolutionized this magical land. But now, the loss of revenue from tourism has created a grave crisis. The Mara Conservancy needs help if they are to continue protecting the reserve and supporting the local communities whose livelihood depend on its survival.
It's a huge privilege to be in these incredible places with these amazing animals. I love filming lions. When they do get up and do something, it's always spectacular. When they are playing, are incredibly fun to watch, especially subalterns and cubs. I love being in the bush and working in these incredible places with these amazing animals. We want to bring it to you so that you can almost feel like you're right there and be able to experience it and enjoy it the way we are.
Well, we have driven around trying to find those elephants that were shouting. We couldn't find them, and then we didn't hear them since from Treehouse Dam. So we now decided to come up, maybe go to the west towards Vuyatela Access and take it to the west, see if we can find anything on that side. Maybe Gumi on that side. No, I haven't heard anything about him this morning or yesterday, so we'll have a look there. It's still nice and cool, so he could be moving. But also we are having some good impala action on that side too, so we're gonna go and have a look. We're gonna send you over to JP at Pridelands while we do that.
Good morning and welcome back to Bushwalk. We just found two impala rams just having a go at one another. And at this time of the year, we are almost right at the end of a rut, and we can see the competition between these guys are picking up quite seriously. And all of them wants to try and have opportunity to quickly set up a territory with the last hope of being able to mate. So let's sit and watch these guys. Quite often can become quite brutal when they fight, and quite often they will actually gorge one another with the horns on the side when the one runs away. I've seen perfectly healthy rams being killed like that, and it's basically just due to internal bleeding that takes place. One of the things that I quite often notice is that one will suddenly make an alarm call and then look to the side pretending that there's something else just to distract the other ram for the moment. So when they do get quite into the fight, they'll often lock horns. You have the horns actually hitting against one another, and they often go down onto their knees as well. Let's see if they're going to come out back into the open. I think one of them is going to move away. He'll probably be followed by the other very soon. The moment that you show some form of weakness, the other opponent will come and push from the side again to try and intimidate you in the hope of taking over your territory. So generally the period that these territories last is approximately 8 days to 2 weeks, and at the end of the rutting season, that's when these territories last on their shortest because of the competition being so intense. You can just hear those horns clashing there. We're just going to be quiet for a second, although we can't see them. Now they've gone quiet again. Quite often they actually break horns in the process as well, and we often after the end of a rutting season see a number of males with horns that are broken off quite close by to the base. And unlike antlers, those don't regrow, they don't get shedded either, so that damage has been permanent. It actually makes them very unpredictable when it comes to fighting, and quite often those males with horns that are broken create a large amount of injury onto rams that have both horns intact. They've unfortunately now disappeared. We're just going to start moving on and see what we can go and find. let's go and have a look what Trish has on offer.
Well, we've also seen some impala rams having a go at each other. Oh, there we go. Look at that. Look at that. Been a lot of energy today and yesterday. They've been bucking like that, up and down, up and down. Oh, I love watching them do that. Then you see their pace, their agility. And now he's like, yes, that's how amazing I am. Now show us what you've got. These were the two that were fighting with each other. They're young, they won't be involved in the rut. Yeah, look at him go. Looks like a lot of fun. Also critical skill, that's how they'll run from wild dogs. What it also shows a predator is that I'm very, very fit. So don't come after me, come after somebody else. Oh. Hi Melissa, you're 11 years old. You'd like to know what is it called when impalas pronk? So pronking is when they jump up. So this is actually stotting. So pronking is when impala, but mostly springbok, they jump up with their legs straight, like they're on a trampoline. So you can see here their legs are stretched out and they're kind of jumping from the front to the back, front to the back legs. But when they pronk, that's when they jump straight up in the air and the legs are straight down. Kind of like I said, like on a trampoline. But they are very similar, both those movements. Both take a lot of energy and both show the predator that, oh, this one is very athletic, it's not sick, it's not injured, so maybe I'll go for somebody else, one that's a little bit less energetic.
Steve, we're leaving Tingana, so if you...
Looks like things have calmed down a little bit. I'm hoping we find some action, similar action, as we continue off to the west. I'd like to see the blind in one eye impala. I usually find him there near Sandy Patch. Hi James, you'd like to know if I've heard any recent update on the wild dogs. The last I heard was yesterday that they had moved into the Manyeleti from the western portion of Buffelshoek. But that was the last I heard of them. In fact, yesterday I thought they might come down here to Fuyatela because I saw the impala behaving like this, and then also behind them, the impala were running, all of them in the herd, running with the same type of agility and energy across towards the southern portion of quarantine, and then the kudu were also running like that, and I thought, oh, this is wild dogs are coming. But no, they were instead baboons chasing them. So I was hopeful, but then I heard that they had moved into the Manyeleti, which is north of even Buffelshoek and to the west. There, these boys are touching horns again, nothing too major. There they go. It's so important to get a feel of how your horns connect and when it can cause you injury, when not. All those things are very important, and that's what they're learning right now. You can see there's also that older male there that is almost watching them and showing them. Oh, looks like he's giving them advice. No, not like this, like more like this. Well, let's keep on moving towards the west and see if we can find anything on that side. And do remember to send us your questions and your comments using that hashtag WildEarth or @FC on the YouTube chat stream. Or you can go to our website and use our questions and comments box under the Live Safari tab. Obviously, the presence of Tingana so close to the camp and therefore so close to quarantine has meant that the majority of the have moved to the which is behind us. Usually there's lots of antelope here on this open clearing to my right, but there's none there now. All right, let me send you over to Dyke, who's also in a bit of a bumble. Some impala there too. I'm hoping to one-eyed blind impala.
Yeah, as I said earlier, we've left the area where we were hoping to find that lion and then just bumbling around, see what else we can find. So we're heading towards one of our water holes, which might take us about 20 minutes, and hoping to find animals drinking there, because this is a bit cooler in the morning, and then most of the prey species start getting active as soon as the sun starts warming up. And then first thing in the morning, they might start making their way down to water holes and get a drink for the morning and move on to higher ground and start grazing, and then end up going back in the afternoons before sun goes down and get the drink for the last day, and then look for a place to lie down for the night. So we're gonna be heading towards that water hole and hoping maybe some zebras, kudu, impalas, even a head of elephants. Buffalo head will be really nice, because I haven't seen a nice head of buffalo. All we're seeing is just the old buffalo bulls. So we're hoping to come across something really nice to see by the water. It might take us about 20 minutes or so to get down to the water hole. So that's where we're heading now. But yeah, also hoping to come across something on the road that we can stop and look at. As you can see, this is a beautiful area for leopards, because leopards prefer this dense vegetation, tall grass, where they can blend in and hunt for their prey, because it helps them to stalk and get close to their prey and chase during the last few seconds. Yeah, we don't have that many leopards, Len, and I would say 20, 30 individuals that I know, but maybe 9, 11 that are a bit more relaxed than the others. So most of those grew up not seeing enough vehicles, so they'll run away from us. It's like 9, 11 individuals that we know quite well, but yeah, not that many leopards though. But we're just hoping to find one of those, and I know the other guys have been trying to find a leopard while we were looking for lions this morning, but still they haven't had any luck. The good thing about this, we're always in radio contact, so we let each other know when we see something, so we end up seeing the same thing, but I haven't had anyone calling a leopard, so that's how much leopards we have. We might even have more than that because we've got huge blocks without roads in this reserve, which is good for these animals. They have enough area to move around. It's not like a very small piece of land, so it's a huge area, but these animals that we're seeing, that's what I'm talking about, 20, 30 leopards that we see, 9, 11 individuals that are relaxed, that if we happen to see one, it will be there for us to watch and enjoy it. Yeah, so we're just going to carry on towards that waterhole I was talking about and hoping something will be there for us drinking, and then we can sit there and enjoy that drinking by the waterhole. Yeah, as I said, there'll be lots of other stuff to see. There is definitely not. They're just cats, but in a different species. They fall under the big cats, but complete different species to lions. So lions are cats as well, but I would say leopards can have the territories within the lion's territory, but they'll avoid each other. Yeah, we're just gonna carry on down towards the waterhole I was talking about earlier on, and hoping that something is there. And then let's hope we find the leopard we're talking about before we get to the waterhole. As I mentioned, a head of buffalo will be nice as well, because I haven't seen a large head of buffalo. Leopard in a tree will be very nice. Yeah, because that's what they'll do as soon as it starts warming up. As you can see, the sun is going higher. As soon as it starts getting hot, then the leopard will choose a big tree and go up, lie on one of the branches, look around if they can see any impalas, and then keep an eye on them, wait for the sun to go down, and they will know exactly where to go. Yeah, even during the day, especially the leopards will try hunt during the day, because at night there's lots of movement of other predators like hyenas. So the chances are if a leopard kill an impala or a small antelope at night, the hyenas will be there to steal the carcass. So they'd rather hunt this time of the day, because there'll be less movement of other predators like hyenas in the day. So this animal will have a chance to feed off the carcass, to lighten it and take it up a tree. Then it's safe, because not many animals that can climb trees except for lions if they're desperate to get the carcass, but otherwise leopards will be the best tree climbers, and the only predator that will bring that carcass or the prey up a tree. So once they manage to take the prey in the tree, then they know they've got food for a couple of days, especially if they have cubs, and then that's more safe, because you'll leave it there and then go all the way to where the cubs are and bring the cubs to where the food is. Unlike other animals like wild dogs, which will eat and go back home, regurgitate the food for the young ones. Hyenas have to drag the food all the way back to the den if they have a den, but leopards, lions will take the young to where the food is. Yeah, we'll carry on down towards that waterhole I was talking about, and then we'll go over to Steve and see if Steve has found anything.
Thanks, Dyke. Welcome back to Djuma. We're checking our western boundary now. We're going to go and have a quick look, see if there's anything happening at One-Eyed Pan on Simbambili. And then there might be a space for us to go back to the Duke, who last we saw had not hoisted his kill. So indeed, it's one of the strategies that leopards will use to keep their food cached or safeguarded, allow them to feed on it at their leisure. Sometimes, though, they kill animals that are too big to hoist, and then, well, they're invariably going to lose it. Hoisting does not always safeguard it against lion, but often it does. That video that went viral from Londolosia recently showed a female lioness climbing up a tree. I suppose female and lioness go together, but a lioness climbing up a tree and fighting a leopard, and then the branch breaking and both plummeting to the floor. Well, here we've got some male impala that have survived the night, and seemingly for now also survived the rut. But the wind has picked up. We don't know. There's a bit of a coldness in the air, and it's going to impact on these animals. They're going to get quite skittish in the wind. And that's probably how Tingana came about his prize. One of these impalas, about the size of that fellow. From what we could see, we only saw it from a distance before it got moved. But as we discuss often, the statistics this time of year, even the female leopards are killing these fellows, and they do struggle to hoist a big impala ram. Sometimes they get it right. Tundi has lost a few in the last little while, and that's just what we know of. So they catch them because they make a lot of noise and they're quite obvious. But they're much more powerful than the females and much heavier. Tingana will be able to hoist that kill, but not until he's fed on quite a bit of it. Okay, we're going to carry on up here. Watering hole's always a good place to check, as Dyke knows. We also wanted to see, Darkmane basically just said, bye Telematis, turned around, came back onto Djuma and been calling all night. Yes, Trevor, the watering holes are the places to check. All these animals are water dependent to some degree, so watering holes are the best places to look for. Everything has to come at some point.
Next morning, David, can you give me an update?
Everything has to come and check and drink. So we keep checking. You could just spend time at a watering hole in winter and animals will just come to you. Like, I think it was Mawati came to Khat and Trish last night. I spent 3 nights at a watering hole in the Timavati a few years ago. A little hut there. We saw many rhino. We saw 2 prides of lion. We saw wild dogs twice. Didn't see a leopard, but we might have missed it. And we saw buffalo, elephants. We were just there, being very quiet, and animals just kept coming. So spend your time and you will be rewarded. It's a very, very easy thing to do if you have the patience and the time and the inclination to go to a watering hole in the Kruger. Take yourself some snacks, some binoculars, a close friend, someone you don't mind, or family member, or loved one you don't mind spending some quiet time in the vehicle with. And just take it easy and you will be rewarded. We definitely get lots of birds. The animals don't ring a bell and go, I'm coming. They just arrive. So you've got to be awake and alert. And we've had many incidences of just sitting quietly at a watering hole and suddenly, oh look, there's a leopard or wild dogs or lions. They come to drink. And if you have the time at your disposal, Sometimes, well, it saves fuel, not having to drive around. But, yeah, so checking water is very, very important. You notice Trish and I every afternoon and the other guides going out and checking the watering holes. Not only do the animals have to drink, but you often find the predators will hang out near and about there because they also know the animals are coming to drink. So they go in ambush. The warthog that was killed by the Talamatis a couple mornings ago, they snuck up on him at a watering hole. So he was very close to Chelapan. They were basically checking watering points between their movements, and lo and behold, the poor warthog, well, let's hope he at least had a last drink before he got eaten alive. And it is quite hard to experience sometimes, but it is nature. Oh, those buffalo look like they might have come back onto Djuma. All herd of buffalo went that way. Now looks like they've gone that way. Very, very nice. We shall go investigate. Didn't see any signs. They might have just been meandering. Talia, I don't see a lot of snakes. I mean, there are plenty of snakes around. I don't personally see many. Gert had one try to go in his room the other day, a Mozambican spitting cobra. And you just had to go, no! Hey, Gert, what did you do?
I was pleading.
Gert was saying, please don't come into my room. Cobras are ones that move around. Puff adders, you don't often see them, although we had some breeding underneath the Wendy house in our camp. Our technician, Nanti, who's, I don't know if he's in FC right now, he had to come out of the shower, I think 3 or 4 days in a row to puff adders in front of him. But I honestly think people who are afraid of snakes are going to see more of them. I'm not afraid of them. I respect them. I see them every now and again. I had one semi-fall into the car once while we were as we were doing checks. We were sorting out the roof, and suddenly there was this spotted bush snake just hanging here. We didn't freak out. We just went, oh, hello, it's a bush snake, and grabbed him and put him in the bushes. Because snakes, everybody, are not out to get you. They're looking for frogs and birds and reptiles and rodents. So, yeah, there are plenty of snakes. We see tracks all the time. But I don't see them, to be honest. Probably far less often than I walk over them. Stepped over quite a few snakes in my life. Haven't stepped on one yet that I know about. It's probably going to happen. Probably going to happen statistically. See, so here we are at a watering hole, and the birds are coming down to drink. Let's just creep in here. Oh, that wasn't done as nicely as I thought it would have been done. Oh, we're still going. This is one-eyed Pan, everybody, and animals, birds, insects will all come down to drink. Sonia knows Simbabili is a reserve adjacent to Djuma, our western side. Our western side, we've got Arathusa and Simbabili, and then west of them, Elephant Plains, Sylvan, a couple others that I don't really know, and then Singita, the west and south of them. So, you know, lots and lots of reserves, all different owners, many of them different agreements, different traversing rights. We have traversing rights on Simbabili, and it's basically just across the road. So we do have a lot of animals that come across our side and their side. So it's nice to keep good relations with the guides, and then we give each other heads up about what's going on. But none of the Simbabili guides come over to Djuma. We've got a relationship, Wild Earth and Simbabili, and Wild Earth and Djuma. So different landowners, different deals, different stories and negotiations that go on, and well, I'm never involved in any of that, but very lucky morning here with some little clovers on the water, some birds calling. So if we spent enough time, we'd probably have something coming to drink. It's always nice to check. You might find something sitting here ready, waiting. Deborah, I actually have no idea. I really don't know. There's also a one-eyed pan on Chitwa, so it's very confusing. I've never asked the question. You wouldn't know, would you? No. Maybe because it looks like an eye? I don't know. It's basically a pan that is not fed in any way. There's no access or pump that happens. So it's a mud wallow that is seasonally filled up. And it will dry out eventually. Starlings waiting to come down and have a drink. But lover, what a deep question. I mean, my time here has just reaffirmed things for me, really. It reaffirmed my connection with nature, reaffirmed my love of nature and my need to delve deep. But what definitely has taught me, and what I've learned being out in the bush again, something I've been lacking for a long time, is the sense of community. And that's something I found down in the garden route with a whole lot of people down there, a beautiful tribe. I love the wilderness. I love spending time up here, but you need to surround yourself with like-minded people. Being in the bush on your own, trying to connect, is a very difficult thing. It's a nice experience to be in the bush, but it's definitely something that needs to be shared. It needs to be shared with people with like-minded ideas, concepts. And that's where my concepts for the men's trail have come from. And the men's trail I did recently was unbelievably profound in that regard. I came out of it feeling fulfilled, enlightened, overwhelmingly sort of in love with myself, which was quite powerful. I've been in the bush for a long time trying to feel the sense of depth that I felt in this men's trail, and I haven't. So I know that the bush is where I need to be part-time, but I know that it's something I need to share with the community. It's a place of deep work, deep connection. And so being here has just reaffirmed that, definitely. So I need to be in service to others. That has also been part of my Vipassana practice for quite some years now. But also my need to put down some roots. So looking to buy some property down in the garden route where I can continue some of the other projects I have in mind with sojourns to the wilderness every year. Okay, well, JP seems like he's also found a watering hole. Let's go see where he's at.
Good morning and welcome back to Bushwalk. We just located in a group of male elephants coming down to come and drink. Small little bachelor herd. There's 4 of them. 3 of them is currently standing in front of us. Others have moved slightly to the side. I'm not quite sure what has startled them now. Wind is in our favor, the sun is in our favor. We're standing in shade, so they shouldn't be hearing us or seeing us. But sometimes when the wind is blowing, animals do become startled fairly quickly. So Trishana's well wishes from this morning definitely paid off for us. And we're very happy to actually being able to find these guys coming into a drink. Let's see if they're going to relax and then come back for a drink and see what they get up to. Generally, the elephants aren't too concerned about things and movements around the dam here. I think that is interesting to also notice that one bull tried to bully the other bull away from the waterhole, which is a behavior that we quite often see between elephant bulls when it comes to getting to water bodies. There's still some water dripping from one's trunk. One of the things that I also find quite strange is that they like to go and drink at the deeper sides of this dam, where the embankment is actually quite steep. So see if they're going to do that. Good morning, Freebird. Yes, sometimes they do rest their trunks, and it's quite fascinating to watch incredibly big old elephant bulls where they will actually rest the trunk onto the tusk and carry it on the side. We're just going to quickly reposition and see if we can get a better view, and hopefully we'll catch one of those elephant bulls coming down that embankment. It's quite steep and they often slide down there, and they tuck in their hind legs, and they almost use them like brakes when they move in to get down that embankment. The second bull is still approaching the other one. Let's see what he gets up to. Maybe they'll allow him to share the same space while they're having a drink. I've noticed these guys here around the area quite often, these 4. And the other day when we did find them at one of the water holes was close by to the headquarters where there's a small little dam, and Tswalu was associating with them, and he was actually pushing these 4 guys around when it came to the water hole, making sure that they couldn't drink. I just always find it fascinating when it comes to elephants that there's 2 behaviors which is so unique, as the use of the trunk, and it's such a complex muscle, and how they can perform such simple tasks as picking up a seed and doing such gentle things as cleaning the eye. Sometimes you watch them using them as tools against one another, smacking one another. Sometimes it's a nice way of disciplining a calf that's out of line. Another will just use a trunk, somebody slap them from the side. And then other times they use it for breaking down fairly thick branches. The other thing that always fascinates me about an elephant is how quiet they can move. We can't hear them stepping. The only things that we hear is the movements of breaking of branches, or when they drink water, or as they move through the vegetation. And one of the reasons why they can maintain such a silence when they're walking is of the thick pads of cartilage underneath the feet, which prevents them from making a noise. You would actually expect the opposite to be true. An animal of approximately 6,000 kilograms, we would have expected that they actually would make a hell of a noise when they move through the bush. There's another elephant bull that's joining us. It looks like a 5th one coming now from our right-hand side. Actually, there's 6 of them. There's 2 more that's just coming from our right. I'm just going to pan out towards where they are. For those of you that are joining us for the first time, the reason why we say the elephant bulls is if we look at the head profile, nice round head profile. If we look at the angle between the chest and the groin, it's quite sloped. And then every now and then the obvious will also stick out, the 5th leg, which is some of the main characteristics which we use to separate males from females. If we do look at the females, chest to groin area fairly straight. The head profile is very different as well. That's normally more angular. And then we also have a mamea between the front legs of the cows. And should this have been a breeding herd, we would have found that there would have been a large number of different aged individuals within this group. It seems they all want to go to that side. We're just going to reposition, follow these guys as they're moving towards the other bulls. The other four is now all together again. I have a little sip who's not happy with the water, and especially with the wind direction, it sometimes pushes a lot of it. Bacterial and algal growth onto the side, and I think that's what they don't like. That's why they move on to the deeper side of a dam.
Founded in 1973, the Endangered Wildlife Trust has consistently and effectively worked towards achieving our conservation legacy. Contribute to this legacy by visiting EWT's Get Wild eShop and purchase products with a purpose.
My name is Steve, and one of my favorite things at Wild Earth is getting questions from you. The type of questions that I really like are those ones that really help us to unpack and understand and really integrate the ecological knowledge and fully appreciate the importance that animals such as these Cape buffalo bring to the ecosystem. If you want to ask a question on Wild Earth, you're going to have to register on the website. But once registered, just head on over to the live safari page and enter your question under the live feed.
Look at this, the little one is up and about. Certainly hasn't had enough milk at this age. No amount of milk is enough. Oh, Corky. Too sweet. Oh, look at this. That is stunning.
Tune into Wild Earth every single day. It's in your nature.
What fascinates me most about the animal circle of life is the intricacies between the large and the very, very small. I mean, it's very easy to go out there and find the large. Once you found the large, the cascading effect down to the small absolutely fascinates me. Alertness and situation awareness is by far the number one aspect for protecting ourselves out on safari.
Catch up with the guides daily here on Wild Earth.
So we've gone to the west and we didn't see any impala there until the herd of impala that were closer to quarantine, or it looked like them. Probably was them because they were moving quite quickly. Those ones came moving out towards the west. Again, quite quickly. But our blind in one eye impala, he was not there. But I'm sure he's around. He is a strong one. We've been seeing him for weeks and weeks despite his injury. But now we took Zoe's and we're on Rebecca's. See lots of elephant tracks, but the elephants that we had earlier, they would have come from here. If we went straight down, they would have ended up in Philemon's cut line, which is where we had them. It's a time where things seem to settle down a little bit. Just a half an hour left of drive. It's warming up nicely. Still quite a chill in the air though. But the kind of all this potential for the morning has settled down by now. Hi Cindy, you'd like to know if elephants always stay in the same group and travel together? They do, unless the herd gets so obviously I'm talking about a breeding herd here, because the males can walk long distances in search of a partner to mate with. But the breeding herds, they usually stay together and then they travel together. Some ground hornbills, quite a few of them at that. Let's try and see if we'll get a gap there. Simply, they do stay together and travel together, but they don't have to be very close together. Like if over here, some of the herd could still be in Buffelshoek while the rest of the herd is down here at Riatella Dam. That is a distinct possibility, and they're always in close communication with each other. Let's just park here. Because they can communicate over such large distances, it means that they can be more spread out and still be in contact with each other. But if the herd gets very large and there's a female who would like to break away, she'll do that if she feels it's an appropriate time. But she'll still stay within the general area that she's been with her herd, and they'll still be in contact because they're still related. Don't see them. Okay, let's move on a little further down. See if we manage to catch them anywhere. Again, doing their low. That's a lovely sound. Anyway, let me send you over to JP. He's managed to catch up with some elephants. That will be awesome.
Good morning and welcome back to Bushwalk. We're still at Ndlovu Dam, enjoying the sighting of 6 elephant bulls that came in to drink. We just watched them a few moments ago. There was also some impalas that tried to come and have a drink. Then one of the bulls started chasing around the impalas. As we mentioned earlier, they quite often dominate other species when it comes to watering holes, and then become sort of slightly more aggressive towards them, chase them away and try and make sure this is my water hole. You probably can get away with that if you're a 6,000 kilogram elephant, and you can push around almost anybody in the bush, with the exception of other elephants. Elephants in general have got very few risks, except if they're sick or injured, or very young animals can be taken by lions, but it's not common practice to see that. However, in certain parts of Botswana over the years, especially in the dry seasons, it's become typical behavior in the last decade or so to see lions actually hunting elephants. And sometimes they have to attempt for periods of up to 17 to 22 hours to physically exhaust the animals to the point that they can no longer run or fight back. Let's coming back to the elephant on the far right-hand side. He's now decided he had enough to eat, and there's some fresh grasses that he's liking over there. Busy picking those. Just watch how he's using his trunk just to pick the grasses that he really likes, and then putting that straight into the mouth. I sometimes find it quite interesting with elephants when they are feeding or drinking, and if they do sometimes become aware of you, that they will pretend to drink or eat. Good morning, Lucy, and welcome to the show. It's quite variable. Most cases we'll find that elephants will drink at least once a day. In some cases they will drink twice a day. And the averages states anywhere between 120 to 160 litres of water. However, I would suspect that elephant bulls that are on must are going to be dependent on more water, as they're already dribbling up to 400 litres of urine out in a single day when they're in full must. some of the fascinating behaviors I also find of elephants is that they'll sometimes will walk big distances to get to and from water bodies, and especially in arid environments, they sometimes move for at least 5 days without water, and then they will travel up to some 80 plus kilometers to and from different water holes. Good morning, Beverly, and welcome to the program. I often have asked myself that question as well, and generally we don't find that oxpeckers go and sit on them, but one of the things that we do see is occasionally an oxpecker will attempt. And if you've got a very big trunk and you can smack something that annoys you, then it's a quick way of getting rid of it. And I think oxpeckers have just learned that over the years that it's best to just avoid an elephant. The same with waterbuck. They very seldom go and sit on waterbuck. If they do try an attempt on it, I've seen waterbuck actually running underneath the vegetation to get rid of the oxpecker, as they've also pretty much annoyed by the presence of the oxpecker. When we look at the general composition of this group of males, they're still fairly young. The tusks are still fairly small. If I have to take guesses, they're under the age of 25. They haven't really got to the point yet where they can start competing against larger bulls to be able to mate with cows in the area. Generally from 25 onwards to up to 45, that they will competitively be trying to access breeding herds as well as out-competing other males in fights, and those fights can end up lethal with individuals being killed. What we also generally see is young males tend to break their tusks quite often. They also hone them and keep them sharp. But here from 45 onwards, when they stop going in must, that's when they actually start really growing into larger tusks. And meanwhile, we're going to hand you over, see what Dyke has on offer. We're going to sit and watch these guys for a little bit longer and see what they get up to.
Yeah, look what we found. We just came across this troop of baboons which is slowly moving away from us. If you look around here, you can see all these large, beautiful trees. This is a suitable area along the banks of this Timbavati dry river bed where the baboons can roost at night because they know predators are hunting, and then being favorite food for leopards. So they would rather prefer to be up trees than being on the ground at night, because leopards are hunting at night. So these animals will go up trees, even though leopards can climb the trees. But baboons are favorite food for leopards, but they're not easy prey because these canine teeth of a fully grown male baboon, they can be bigger than those of a female leopard. So they can do a damage. I've seen a leopard being chased by a fully grown male baboon. So these animals can be very vicious. So that's why we don't feed these animals. As you can see, we're sitting here. They're not coming to us, unlike in other places where they get fed by people, even though people get told not to do so. Some people still do, so that's why these animals are known as being aggressive to people. It's just the fact that we do something wrong to these animals and we end up complaining and we forget it's our fault. So if we leave them as they are, they will stay wild, so they'll know to find their own food. And as you can see, those two are grooming each other nicely there. And yeah, they just came down the streets because it's getting warm, so they're gonna go and try and look for food and come back and roost in these large trees that you can see here. So this is the one and only species of baboon that we have, which are known as the Chakma baboons. But sometimes they're very clever because they learn very quick. That's why when you check in our lodges, you get told to keep your doors closed and hook the latches on your doors, because these animals will try and sneak in and get inside and look if there's any food inside the room. So you see that one is on the other one back, and he's tolerating him because he knows it's not going to hurt him. It's just taking the parasite off that one. Yeah, these animals, if they corner, they can be really dangerous, like I mentioned earlier. But if you leave them as they are, they won't attack you because we don't feed them. So don't try corner a baboon. If a baboon is on the way, just leave him alone or just get out of the way, and then the animal will find its way out and move away from you. Otherwise, if you corner an animal like that, you're putting your life in danger. As I said, the canine teeth of this fully grown male baboon can be larger than those of a female leopard. So that animal can kill you. You may not think of that, but the baboon's powerful than a human being, so that can easily kill you. They can be very, very dangerous if they're cornered. Like I said, I've seen a leopard being chased up a tree by a fully grown male baboon, so they are dangerous. So don't go too close to them. If you ever see them, just watch them from a distance and don't try feed them as well. So because that makes them to be even more aggressive, because they're going to see someone with food in their hands and then they'll try come and take. And then if you don't know, you run away with the food and that animal will go after you. So if you holding something to eat in your hands, if a baboon comes after you, you'd rather throw the food and then he'll leave you alone and take whatever you had in your hands. So I'd rather lose the food than getting yourself injured. So these animals can be very dangerous. Remember, they also wild animals. See, they're grooming each other and grooming themselves nicely before they get ready to go. They were just waiting for the sun to warm up. They were sitting in these large, beautiful jackalberries here on the bank of these trees. As you can hear, there's one making the noise. So all moving slowly. If you look further down this dry river bed, you can see there's a little baby there just sitting and watching us. This is a sort of distance that they're going to keep from us. If we try to drive close to these animals, they'll run away from us. But at the stage of being cornered, and then they want to defend themselves, that's where it can be dangerous. There's a very large one that's going to come down just behind. There he goes. That can be the main male of this troop. These animals can be in large numbers. If you look at that one behind the male, he's got a baby under his belly. That's how they carry their young. So the young will hold on to the mother's belly and walk away with that. So if you try to get that baby, that male will just turn around and go after you. Yeah, this is a beautiful troop of baboons. You're just going to leave them. As you can see, they're moving in single file. They might be trying to go and look for food. These animals are going to be in these trees again later this afternoon before the sun goes down. So we're just going to carry on and see what else we can find. And otherwise, let's go over to JP and see what JP has found.
Good morning and welcome back to Bushwalk. We're still with our elephants and we've just been joined now by a breeding herd of elephants, and you can see the different ages in the group. And if you notice, you'll actually see that very prominent sloped angle to the forehead, which we mentioned a little bit earlier, which separates the cows from the bulls, with a much rounded, who has much more rounded heads. A few other things, we generally find that bulls tend to be larger tusk, and we also find that females can be either very small tusk or absent tusked in some areas. However, tusks can be also pretty much genetics, and it was also influenced over the years by humans, as large numbers of elephants were hunted throughout Africa for their tusks, which was then used for anything from piano keys to billiard balls. We're very fortunate in South Africa as that we've already got one of the most stable populations of elephants. I was reading up a little bit about the history of the area of surrounding Kruger National Park, and in early 1901 there was no elephants left within the area of Kruger National Park. Very soon a few of them made their way through from Mozambique into South Africa. And then around by 1920s, there was approximately 120 elephants within the region of the Kruger National Park. And those numbers continued growing. They're roughly around by 17 to 19,000 elephants within the Kruger and Greater Kruger area currently. Good morning, Mandy. The largest group of elephants I've seen was probably a group of some 220 of them. And it was a breeding herd, and it was also a number of bulls that were associating with them. And there was a number of very, very tiny little elephants inside that group as well. And the next moment, there was a group of lions that came very close by to them, and the little ones started trumpeting, and it was so amazing to watch this. And 200 plus elephants was charging a group of lions, chasing them off. And I'm just very happy that I wasn't on the opposite side of where they were, because it could have been quite detrimental for us. It's amazing how quickly they can become aggressive towards potential threats. We just mentioned earlier in the program that lions do take elephants. However, it very seldom happens. But then there's large groups that very, very quickly will work together to chase away lion. In general, in South Africa, the group sizes are much smaller compared to that of East Africa, where they form herds of several hundred to 1,000 at times. Quite often, these very large groups, they tend to meet together in the wet seasons, and then they tend to split up into smaller groups again during the dry seasons. What we also find is that they very seldom stay within a specific area. Elephants have to wander incredibly big areas to find sufficient amount of food, as they have to eat so much. In the case of the bulls, they can eat some 300 kilograms of food a day, and they only absorb some 40% of that. And that's why quite often we find that some of them has got ranges anywhere between 450 and 1,000 square kilometers that they will cover. So because they're quite long-lived animals, they've got very good knowledge of their area, and they know precisely where and when to access specific resources which they will require at that point. And those resources might be anything from water, food, specific fruits and plants that they're looking for at a specific time of the year. I've always noticed in the Kruger National Park where they would often move to the west to an area called Satara, which was 50 kilometers away, where there was a sufficient amount of marula trees when the marula started fruiting by end of January, February.
Do you dream of an African holiday in unparalleled luxury? where your days are spent in the company of wildlife and cooling off in your very own plunge pool? Well, this month's prize may be the one for you. Expertly camouflaged into the unspoiled environment of the world-famed Sabi Sand Game Reserve, it's hard not to fall in love with Simbambili. Sign up to be a Wild Earth explorer before the end of May, and you and a friend could be jetting off to this ultimate escape from reality. A luxurious safari and spa getaway wrapped up in one impressive package. Wild Earth Explorers, it's in your nature.
And I find getting out to a local royal park brings me so much closer to nature. I can leave my pain at home. And like watching Wild Earth, I find it's the most amazing way to step out of life's difficulties and just breathe.
The chirping and fluttering of these Java finches at the feeder in our garden helps us start each day joyfully in connection with nature.
So this is our piece of nature that we've been enjoying and has been keeping us sane during lockdown. This morning we have 8 oyster catchers on our beach, which is a real treat.
Hug a tree, Steve, just for you.
Hi everyone, my name's Daniel Fisher and I'm going to be your guide this afternoon. I'm looking really forward to taking you through and showing you all the beautiful places here at and beyond Ngala. If you have any questions, please register on our website. Once registered, go to the live page feed and post your questions underneath the live feed. Join me on my next safari through and beyond Ngala on Wild Earth. Send me live questions through the Wild Earth website and I'll answer them live from the African bush.
Welcome back to Voitila Dam. Welcome back to a very sleepy male lion. And we were talking earlier about, do animals hang around near water? Now, we're probably 60 to 80 meters from the dam. And here come the animals in their droves. There's a herd of impala, a herd of waterbuck. And as long as he remains uninterested, they will ignore him. It's quite an interesting sort of behavior. You'll see a lion, well, he's been alarm called at for quite some time when we got here. Now all the animals start to calm down and they forget there is in fact a ferocious male lion lying here in the open, but he's not dangerous if he's visible, everybody. Predators, when they show their face, they look at you, that forward-facing eyes. The intention is clear. Animals freak out a little bit at that, but often you will find predators when they don't really want to hunt, they're just sort of hanging out, will just lie flat like this, and animals will just walk past them as if, oh well, they're not really showing any dangerous sort of traits right now. A little family of waterbuck. Don't come too close, little cute ones. Bearing in mind, with visibility, these animals are much faster than he is. Obviously, over a 10-15 meter section, he's very well. Lions are very quick. He is not quite as agile as he once was with his injured foot. But if you watched the show the other morning when he charged in onto the warthog that was being killed, he didn't waste any time. Definitely can pick up the speed when he needs to. So now I'm also hoping that there is a female leopard somewhere nearby, which she might take an advantage of a male lion being here with all the attention. Some impalas being quite brave. Mum, where have you been? Been looking for you all morning. Here I am. Oh, no, I don't want any of that. The milk machine. see how these impala are walking right past him, completely nonchalant, because his intention is one of rest and relaxation. Animals aren't sneaky, everybody. Their intention is clear. By their facial expressions, by their body language. Well, everyone, we hope you've enjoyed this morning. I have no doubt Darkmane will be pretty much in the same area this afternoon. We do thank you for joining us on this sunrise safari on this Saturday. We hopefully will catch up with more of the Duke this afternoon if he comes out into the open. But see you this afternoon from all of our wonderful locations. Thank you for all your questions and comments. Have a good day until then. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, in fact, until then.